Now, before you say, what do you have to say about the game being important to the VR market, blah, blah, yes, I understand. I'm not a VR channel or a VR expert on the VR games market, and I'm not here to say that S&box is going to be the leading reason as to why VR headset sales are rising, but I do think S&box could serve as an important game to the market for some specific reasons. Hi, I'm Iridium. Today we're looking into the current state of VR within S&box. Obviously, during the time that I've gotten access to S&box was right after the Pain Week started happening, and noticed that there was still some VR games that were already uploaded on the platform. Unfortunately for me, I sold my Oculus before because I kind of hate Facebook/Meta or whatever it's called now, but don't really have a headset. So I got some help from some awesome individuals who will be credited on the screen as they provided some VR gameplay to show off while I talk your ear off for the next couple of minutes. So let's get into it. VR within S&box is important to the market because it can be another leading game that will entice people to possibly get it to experience it in VR. I know there's a ton of other VR games way more popular like VR Chat, Rec Room, and Roblox, which is kind of insane to think about when it comes to actually having VR. But I know it'll entice some people who do enjoy what's already provided within Garry's Mod. Also, yes, I do understand that there's a mod within Garry's Mod, which has VR too, but this isn't about Garry's Mod, it's about S&box. The idea that S&box provides a good sense of multiplayer components and its entire basis is built off the Source 2 engine is a pretty good start to begin with. Not only that, but the tools provided within S&box allow the majority of people who'd want to make a game either strictly in VR can be possible too. Now, personally, I would think that it'd be interesting to see some form of VR chat type game mode within S&box. I do have a couple of friends that play VR chat like a lot, and I know one of the main things they've always mentioned is that playing games can be a bit rough, but is possible within the Unity engine. Now, think about the idea of a game using the Source 2 engine that's also a fork of Half-Life Alyx, as it does support VR, the idea that it's basically all moddable for the experience you want to make, and it makes it a lot easier to actually play games that probably won't feel like they're super jank. At least to me, these seem like pretty good deals so far. So what's the catch? Well, basically development. Currently, the main surrounding issue with S&box at the moment is the lack of content, but that is totally fine because the game's not really even out yet. So while this does give it some more time, content is really going to make or break S&box in the end. Being able to have a mix of that VR content with non-VR content really is a must, since not a lot of people have VR headsets. So here's the fun part about crossplay in S&box. Games like Half-Life Source 2 and Tabletop Tanks support both VR and non-VR players, which is pretty huge. VR Chat does the same thing, but in terms of the experience to me, of course, one is a social game and then the other is an actual game. I generally think it's interesting to see that it's actually possible to do this within S&box, as I thought it'd have to be separate. But showing this idea is a really huge thing for future games being developed on the platform where people can play with both players. So a good reason why this would be important to the market would be the possible endless amount of content that would come with playing the game in VR. If there's enough games being developed on it, of course. I mean, we do know a good chunk of VR games do feel like certified tech demos. While there is some hitters out there in the market for VR, the replayability of a game and variety of games to choose from, I personally feel are way more important to a fresh VR user. But the biggest deal of wanting to get a VR headset in general is wanting to experience something that feels worth your while as you spent a good chunk of change to experience something more immersive and slightly futuristic. It can be possible depending on what may happen with VR in general on S&box. But seriously though, I'd really love to see a social game mode like VR Chat on S&box that would be cool with moddable custom avatars and the whole 9 yards. The possibilities are there, but we'll have to see what Facepunch has in mind when it comes to the platform and also the community. In terms of development of VR games and support for VR in general on S&box, I'm calling to you, the viewer, to ask, what do you think about it? Do you think that S&box would greatly benefit from having more variety of VR games or giving people a second experience for the game specifically within VR? Also, what would you personally like to see that would be a huge seller for you to want to actually get the game? Whatever it is, leave a comment down below. So that's all we have for now. Thank you again to all the wonderful people mentioned on screen that have provided their gameplay and point of view of playing these games within VR. I'm hoping that this video would be a bit more informational while seeing the gameplay provided and sparking discussion within the community to improve the game at its most raw state. Otherwise, if you enjoyed what you've seen here and want to talk more about S&box, join in my Discord where we do all of these things, linked in the description down below. And if you do want to see more S&box content, then you got a fresh video lined up for you right here. Until then, thank you for watching. Oh, hey, listen, I have a couple of seconds before the video ends. If you really like what you've seen, check out my channel. And if you have a need for a dopamine rush and have severe ADHD like me, I also have YouTube shorts and other stuff on my channel too. Check it out, all right? Okay, bye.